Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Ronen Isaac, co-founder of The Boring Lab, and I'm here with our other co-founder and Milestone Dev champion, Dani Elias. And our session today is all about co-creating with the customer. Hey, Dani.
Hey Ronen, hey everyone. My name is Dani Elias. I'm the co-founder and CTO of the Boring Lab. At the Boring Lab, we created an application called the Boring Toolbox, which is a management and health monitoring tool to help milestone administrators save time. I look forward to discussing how we found a problem with our product and how we worked with our end users to find a solution.
Thanks, Dani. You mentioned our health monitoring and notification features, so let's go back in time a bit. Our live monitoring feature was always on our roadmap. What problem were we trying to solve with live monitoring?
So basically, milestone administrators were receiving a lot of emails, notifications from Milestone. Uh, After a while, these emails really become spam, and when emails become spam, they lose value. So we wanted to solve that problem by adding thresholds to camera online, offline notifications. And basically, what that meant was when the camera went offline, we waited whatever time the user had configured before we notified them of that event.
All right. But after we released version 1 of live monitoring, we were all so excited. But then we started noticing some unexpected workflow issues. Do you remember when we realized that the first version was flawed?
Yeah, actually, it's really surprising. It turns out that even with thresholds, you can still get spammed. There was a lot of sort of scenarios that we had missed and not accounted for, network interruptions, reboots that really caused the user experience to be uh, flawed and caused the notifications to turn into spam and really lose value. Um, so we kind of had to uh, realized that the user had a problem, and the problem was that they were receiving too many emails, and we need to find a solution that would allow us to automate the entire process and reduce the number of emails they receive.
Thank you for that trip down memory lane, Danny. That leads us nicely into tip 1. All feedback is good feedback.
Yeah, so as developers, we're really too close to the code for us to really understand how most users are using it, and it's really hard to optimize because of that. So all feedback is good feedback is a great perspective to keep in mind when developing software, because the really the hardest part of integration is the customer. The customer is the reason behind the code. We know what our code is doing, but we don't always know if that code is really solving a customer need or pain point. And really, that's what it's all about. Uh, so we realized that we needed a better understanding of the edge cases that were causing this spam and also a better user experience for the customer. So with that, when in doubt, you really want to look at your support tickets, and that's what we did. So we looked at our support tickets and realized that other customers were receiving very similar amounts of emails, and many customers didn't realize it to be a problem. So we recognized that it was a problem and it was something that we could address. Our system was working as expected, but because of the edge cases that we had missed, a lot of customers were receiving a lot of emails and they were losing value. Our support really became critical part of our development in that we use it to decide and and really consider all the edge cases that all these different users were having and build that into our code.
Okay, so now that we knew we had an issue and we had a lot of evidence to back it up, how did we go about making sure we were solving the right problem this time?
Well, we put ourselves in the customer's shoes.
That's right, we did, Danny. We wanted to get feedback from our customers, but we needed something concrete to show them. So we created 3 scenarios that got increasingly more complex. We made some assumptions as to how the customer wanted to see those notifications, and we made some guesses as to what should happen in the application when that flood of camera alerts started coming in. Of course, after that, we wanted to test our theories. Can you talk about the process in thinking through smart notifications functionality?
Yeah, so I mean, we really did put ourselves in the user perspective. So we created user stories and made assumptions, and from that we built up the product. So an example would be like, as a user, I don't want to receive 100 emails a day. So I think most people would agree that that feels like a lot of emails and maybe considered spam. As a user, I don't want to receive multiple notifications for the same camera that's down. I know it's down. I don't need to keep kind of hearing about it. It loses value. As a user, I don't want to get a flood of emails if there's a network interruption or a server reboot. At the Boring Lab, we kind of follow a philosophy of design that is basically don't make me think. We don't want the user to try to figure out what Boring is doing, what Boring is up to, and how to make Boring work for them. We want Boring to bring value to them without getting in the way of their job.
Can you talk about our approach in getting customer feedback and why we decided to wait until after we had a solution to reach out to them?
Yeah, I mean, it really goes back to the golden rule of don't make me think. We didn't want the user to think. We didn't want the user to worry about how to solve that problem. The users don't know all the edge cases that we may have missed. They don't know the answer to that. All they know is that they're receiving too many emails. Our goal is in reaching out is basically to test our assumptions and see if they're accurate.
Perfect. So how do you weigh the merit of customer feedback for what is best for the greater good versus like a single use case?
So a single use case is really an example of something that is really business specific, that meets a business need. A greater good is something that really applies to most users. It's not going to apply to everybody, but most users would find value in that feature. An example of a greater good is when designing the smart notifications feature, this new feature, we were also having uh, sort of reviews on placement of different types of text, and a customer actually suggested that we move the text to a different location, which turns out was a better design. That was something that was immediately applicable to everybody that was using smart notifications, and we knew that it had value to all our users. A single use case example would be a customer wanting to receive email notifications with attachments. Um, that was a perfect use case for their business needs, but for larger systems, the limitation of email attachments really restricts what you can do with that and causes more confusion. So that was a single case that was uh, harder to include in sort of the feedback from customers.
Overall, I think the customers were really happy with what we came up with and the journey and the fact that they got to be involved in the process, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of customers were really appreciative of what we had come up with and also including them in the development and design process and really addressing their needs and addressing the greater needs of all of our customers had a huge impact. So thanks everyone for joining us. If you have any questions or want to reach out with your boring stories, please do. You can also find us at theboringlab.com. Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you.